And welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday, another amazing Wednesday night Relationship Gumbo Podcast live show. And I'm happy you're here. I hope you had a good week. I hope you had, it's hump day. So hopefully your weekend and the beginning of your week was good. When you come in, say hello. Let me know you on the replay if you're on the replay, because I love you guys too. So just get it in when you can. My name is Derek Jones, and I am your host. And tonight we have an amazing topic. It's going to get a little deep. You're going to learn some things you probably didn't know, some of you guys. And I want to give you a perspective that you very seldom hear or see online or off. We're going to get into the DNA and the psyche of a predator, aka player. So when you come in, just give me a shout. Let me know you're here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a couple seconds to make sure that everything is pushed out. And then I'll come in right back and we're going to get right into it. So stay tuned.
Yeah, this one for the streets that taught me lessons. Hey, they taught me about the grief and people out here stressing. They taught me how the evils wanna keep you from progressing. It's people in your circle wanna keep you from your blessings. No talking to them people when them people come with questions. Cause mama say no ratting. For them, death is destined. Be careful of the people you invest in.
All right, we are back. And again, I say welcome. This is the Relationship Gumbo Podcast live show. So part of this show, we're going to do some visual things because I am aka Mr. Card Logic. So we're going to show you all about the visual coaching that I do. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this topic. And I really need you guys to pay attention. You're going to get some funny things here, but you're going to get a lot of depth. And I want you to get some understanding. And then at the end of the show, we're going to talk about some things you can do to kind of counteract some of those things. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, why do these people keep playing me? Why do they keep, doing these same things and I keep meeting these same type of people? And why would someone do this to me? We're going to talk about the why tonight, right? Because we could talk about how bad people could be and what their motives are. But we're going to give you the nitty gritty on the why and the motive and the DNA of a predator, right? I'm going to call him a predator because that's really what it is. We can call him player, but it's another P word called predator that I like to use because it's a little more fitting. So we're going to do what I call a card logic demonstration. This is where we get visual, guys. This is a method that I created for visual learners to make sure that everybody can get it. No matter what your learning level is, you can catch it. So give me 1 second. I'm going to flip this camera and then we're going to do a demonstration and then we're going to talk about this topic and we're going to get really deep into it. So stay tuned. All right, so what I'm going to do here with the visual representation is I'm going to show you the goal, the overall goal of someone who you would term a player or a predator, right? And typically what happens is we're going to use the black cards. And the black cards are going to represent, just for this illustration, we're going to put out 4 cards, right? Because we're talking about emotions in the human heart that gets damaged after you quote unquote get played. So we're going to put out 4 cards. And because we're talking about affairs of the heart, these are going to represent the 4 chambers of your heart. Now, it is the predator's goal to occupy all of these. Okay? And what they have to do is they have to do this little trick that magicians use called misdirection, where you focus on one thing over here while I'm doing something else over here. And it's very simplistic in nature, but when you are emotional, it takes a little tact. It takes a little kind of them paying attention. And this is how it looks visually. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the red deck and each red card is going to represent something that person does to you that hurts. And the incremental way that this is done is they'll attack that first chamber. And you'll feel a little pain, or maybe something just doesn't feel right. Ouch. And what the predator has to do is the predator has to say, I know that hurt, but look at all of this goodness over here. This is happiness. This is how you feel when you are around me and the stuff I do for you. You need to remember that exists and forget about that. That's nothing. You got to pay attention to these over here and be happy with that. And you say, numerically, if you're looking at this, I'm okay with having that. This hurts a little bit, but I'm okay because I want to be with somebody. I want to feel love. And that's what it feels like over here. So what the predator does is says, good, that person is comfortable. Let me go ahead and sneak that in. So now you're like, ouch. Why did you do that? I thought we was, what are you doing? Those things you told me, they're not matching up. And the predator says, remember these. Why are you worrying about that? Right? This is the mental manipulation and the gaslighting kicking in, right? And you say, well, why don't you look at these? That shouldn't feel so bad. Remember how this feels? And you say, okay, we're going to work it out. And then the predator comes in and he does a sneak attack and he says, bam, ouch. And now you have nothing left. You've given your all. And all you're left with now is hurt and pain and deceit. Right? And the predator says, the challenge is gone now. Look at what happened. There's no challenge now. So I have to move on to my next victim. And so, just in this short example, it didn't start off as this evil person, right? Because he only gave you a little bit for you to question. It didn't happen all at once. And so this is how the infiltration happens. Because they catch you sleeping. Because you got comfortable, because it wasn't the full picture of a player or a predator up front. Because that's what you're looking for. I can recognize it. Because I done seen it before and I've been played before. And I know what I'm looking for. But it's not going to look like that. Not a good one. They're going to give it to you a little bit at a time so you don't recognize it. And then it becomes this. And you're broken. Right? And we're going to talk about that. So we're going to take the visuals away. And we're going to get into the podcast portion of this. And we're really going to do a deep dive. I'm telling you, you better share and invite everybody you know, whether you think they're dealing with this or not. It's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to give you. So as you come in, say hello. I see you guys kind of peeking in. Just say what's up. So let me put these cards away real quick. And we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this. So what I'm going to do, this is how we're going to do this every Wednesday, because this is what I would call a bonus podcast. You're going to get 2 every week. The Relationship Gumbo Podcast. Look for that everywhere that you get your podcast from. We'll talk about that at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for like 2 seconds. Then we're going to start into the podcast portion. If you have questions or comments, I will address them when I find a point where I can address them. It's not going to be in real time. And then when I finish the podcast portion, I'm going to pause for 2 seconds, and then we're going to have kind of like after kind of like mini little talk afterwards. So give me 2 seconds. We're going to start the podcast portion, and then we are going to get really deep into this. So, and welcome back to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. I am your host, Derek Jones. I'm a life coach, an engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And today we have an extra special topic. It's called The Real Reason Why I'm Getting Played. And so, we have a lot of people out here that have felt that pain of being played. You got duped, right? You thought you were smart enough to figure it out. You're a woman. I grew up with 10 brothers and I've seen it all and I've heard it all. And what people don't realize is a predator, we're going to call him a predator. We're going to do something a little fun, but it's a little serious tonight. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. A good one, you're not going to see it coming. And you're going to have to understand the motive and the DNA of that predator in order for you to even understand how this works. Because someone who says, I've seen all the game, has no clue that the game evolves by the minute. And if you can keep up with a minutely evolution, hands off to you, because your name is Jesus. You cannot. You can only control one thing, and that's you. And I'm going to tell you how this works, and I'm going to tell you how you understand the psyche so that you understand the motive. And then once you understand that, then you'll know better how to navigate it. Because if you're out here dating, it's rough out there. How do you know? I'm afraid to let somebody in, right? And so this is what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to play a character. I'm going to be two people. I'm going to be Derek, Mr. Card Logic, and I'm also going to be this character that I'm going to call Preddy the Predator. I'm going to be him, and he's going to tell you all about how he thinks. And so this is what you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen. And in this particular scenario, Preddy the Predator, he's a guy, and he's looking for a woman victim. And the way that you have to understand why a player does what he does, a lot of you will say, the player is the evil person. Why did they do that to me? What motivates someone to spend that much time and pretend when the whole goal was to have an exit strategy at the end? Who would want to waste that kind of time? I'm going to tell you about that. So what you have to understand is someone who would take this course of action over and over and over again, it's because it comes from a place, right? You know, I'm the nerd and the comic book guy. Superheroes always have an origin story, and so does the villain. And in this case, it may come from a place of hurt, a place of pain. Somebody hurt them and they want to play get back. Sometimes it's some people out here that's just really evil and they just don't care. But someone who's really evil that just don't care, it comes from a place. Because you have to think about it like this, right? There's something broken in order for you to become, and this is going to sound really serious, but this is really what it is, right? And I pass no judgment because I understand that human beings will do what they do, right? A predator is motivated a lot of times by, we talked about in the prior show about dopamine and how that high feels of the conquest of saying that you conquered that woman or conquered that man. And once that high goes down, it's just like a drug. You need it again and again. And the only thing that you can really equate it to that's going to be a really serious visual for you, it's like a serial killer. And think about a serial killer. They kill because they get off on it. And people die in the wake, right? And it's bloody. And they have no conscience about it. Because it's not about killing the people. It's about fulfilling your need to conquest and kill and be in control. It's a control thing. Remember, we talked about the magician's trick of misdirection. It's control. The magician is always in control of the crowd. That's the only way the illusion works. And so what you have to understand is the DNA of a predator comes from a place of control. They need to control you. They need to give you a false sense of hope so that your logical brain turns itself off. And so we're going to talk about 3 categories of a predator today so that you understand that there's many different types, but they normally fall under 3 categories. We're going to talk about a short-term predator, a long-term predator, and the already attached predator. Ooh. And underneath each umbrella, there's a certain level of power that each one of them has. And I'm going to tell you what that is so that you'll understand how this works. So, what you have to also understand in society, you know, we're throwing around this term toxic masculinity, and, you know, men are raised and trained to be hunters, and how many women can you get? And this is the, you know, we look at this as a success. Like, I just bagged 3 women. Oh, yeah, man, good job, man. Congratulations, you handled that. And when those boys grow into men, a lot of times, if you don't really grow up, you still have a part of that predatory thing inside you. And then you may deal with other issues that may deal with mental health, or maybe somebody hurt you. And now you have to exert your power over someone else in order for you to feel vindicated and validated. And sometimes, like I said, there's people out here that have gone through so much that they have no conscience. There's people out here that get high off of knowing that they've conquered you, right? We kept talking about dopamine. It's going to be a reoccurring theme here. And so when you talk about the short-term player predator, you have to think about a lion. A lion is going to go after a prey that he can dominate. He's going to go for something that he believes is psychologically and possibly physically less. Because a lion isn't going to attack an elephant. He may not attack another lion. He's going to attack something that he can control because he's a predator. And a lion and any other predator is only going to attack something that is appetizing to it. So you got to think to yourself, ooh, they're evil. But why am I so appetizing to that lion? What is making me appealing to this type of predator over and over again? Why am I attracting this predatory behavior? What am I doing? Because a lot of times we get caught up in the blame game. He or her, she did this to me and I'm hurt. But we don't realize that we dangled the carrot in front of them without even knowing it. So let's talk about the short-term predator. The short-term predator, the goal is to conquer and to get out as soon as possible. Right? And remember, we talked about the serial killer. They want to kill and keep killing because it does something for them. They get turned on by it. It's an adrenaline rush. The short-term player does it for the adrenaline rush. To say that they outsmarted you. To say that they were able to conquer you in record time. And they're looking for the lowest hanging fruit. They're looking for people that are in pain, that are desperate, that have low self-esteem. These things that you don't realize that you're emitting from you by things you say or your actions. And they are experts at noticing this type of behavior, right? And we're going to talk about how you understand what you give off at the end of this. But I just want you to understand the motive first. So the goal is to search for the lowest hanging fruit, right? You want to grab the lowest hanging fruit and run. You just stole it. They're coming to steal your emotions. They're a serial killer that's coming to kill your emotions and your heart and your dreams and your hope. Why? Because it's a dopamine high. It makes me feel good for a moment that I got you first. And I'm going to search for the least common denominator. I'm going to search for the person that I know needs to have someone right now. I'm going to search for the person that may not think that, they may not have a super high opinion of themselves. And here's the other kicker. This is how a lot of people, some women, confuse the game. You feel like you have an education. You feel like you got everything together. You might be single. You may want to find, Mr. Right one day. But you forget sometimes that in all of that togetherness that you have and all of that strength that you have, that you're still a human being with emotions. And so that short-term predator looks at a certain category that they check off that they know that most women have. And once they know that most women have these things I'm about to tell you, then as long as they attack one or multiples of these, 9 times out of 10, if that person's already broken, it's going to be easy to open that door. So they're looking for, like I said before, you have to think about, especially in the United States, the society we live in. We're talking about Disney and Cinderella and Prince Charming. And so he's got to understand, maybe most women want Prince Charming to come in and be Mr. Right. Maybe most women have been hurt by a guy or two in their life, and they know what that pain feels like. Maybe they think, hey, maybe this woman may not be looking for Mr. Right, but maybe she just wants a hug and she wants to feel protected. Right? And you can say, a few more things, but what happens is, if I know those things to be true about most women, then those categories are going to be the things that I become the expert at. Because if I end up getting you and making that conquest, it's going to be a quicker entry point if you fall into one of those categories. So now this is what this looks like, right? We're not going to be on here long, but I want to take my time with this because I want you guys to really feel this, okay? I need you to understand how this works. This is what it looks like. I'm going to ask you a question, and that question is going to say, it's Preddy the Predator. Preddy the Predator is saying, hey, why are you single? How long you been single? What happened? And then the woman may say, I've been out of a relationship for a year. I'm over that. I'm done with him. He cheated on me, so I'm good. I moved on. Preddy the Predator is going to say, dang, that's messed up, but I'm glad you're single. I've been hurt a lot too. And I don't know if I'm ready, but I want to try because I want to feel love again. And I've been hurt too. And I know you know how that feels. And you say, oh, sorry to hear that. And guess what happens next? Because not all women, okay, because I don't want you to come for me. Internally, you possibly may have a maternal nature. Now you see a bird with a broken wing and you say, and we talked about this in the last podcast a little bit, I want to be the one to show him that all women aren't like that. Gotcha. Now, the effort that I have to put forth gets minimized in that moment. Once you start to show me that you're trying to prove to me that you want to be better than them, I win. The reason why I win is because now you've shown me the chink in your armor. Right? That's just one way of millions. Right? And you could be listening to this and say, I've never fall for that. But it's a million of you that have. And it works. You know why it works? Even in its corniness. You know why it works? Because when we're out here looking for our potential mate, our logic center, the critical thinking of our brain, gets shut off. Because we're excited and happy about being at the dinner and we're, oh my God, this person is so cute. And it's like when you feel that emotion of feeling like this might be the person and oh my God, your emotions are they rising to the top. And when that happens, that is the entry point. To give you what you need real quick, you get confused. I get what I want. And I leave. And sometimes it happens quick, right? And a lot of times, you'll experience this thing they call ghosting. And you're like, oh, what happened? It was going good. It's been 2 weeks. It's been a month. What happened? Short-term predator. The goal is to have a quick exit strategy. I never wanted to be there in the first place. It's my job to sell you a dream. And the quicker you buy it, the quicker I can leave. And so the reason why this works is because I'm attacking the lowest hanging fruit. So it's not difficult to sell you the dream because you're already broken. So it's my job as Predator the Predator to recognize you without you knowing it. And that's just a quick example. And like I said, I'm going to tell you what you give off later so that you'll understand how that person is able to recognize it within seconds, okay? Or within minutes, or at least one conversation. It's very easy. The next one we're going to talk about is the long-term predator. The long-term predator is a dangerous one because it's going to feel like a real relationship. It's going to feel like love. And this person is a little more sadistic than the short-term one. Remember we talked about the serial killer and thriving off of hurting, killing your emotions, killing your heart, killing your dreams? The long-term predator is dangerous because it looks and feels like love. And that person, I said, is a little more sadistic because a part of them wants to feel that feeling. Their dopamine is a little bit deeper than the first person. They need to feel nurtured and loved, but they always at some point have an exit strategy. It could be a year later. It could be 6 months later. They're going to stay there as long as they're being fed what they need. It's very selfish. And what happens to make them exit that situation, because remember, it was never their intention to be in a full-blown relationship with you. They may do all the little cute stuff, but there's always an exit strategy. And because of this, this is what happens. You fall for them, but you still kind of, there's that intuition that kicks in, and there's little things along the way. This is the misdirection. And you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe that's not that. Oh, no, maybe that's not that. You're being fooled along the way. You're ignoring the signs and the red flags. And it's 6 months later, and you're like, this is the best person ever. You've ignored about 200 flags. You let it go. Why? Because your emotions are running your decision-making process. So what you do is, you say, that's my man. Predator the Predator is your man now. And he still has an exit strategy. Does he have a date when that exit strategy is going to happen? No, because he's enjoying having you when he wants you. It feels comfortable. He's getting everything he wanted, whether it's, you cooking him dinner. He's able to come over anytime he feels like it. He has control. His exit strategy only happens, listen, when you start getting close to realizing who he really is. And once you do, and you start questioning his actions, and you start getting in his, like, what? Why did you do that? What? Once you start barking too loud, he's not equipped to handle that. So he's got to find a way out now. And it's going to hurt like hell for you. Because Mr. Predator, he's eventually going to find someone else to feel his dopamine, and everything that he felt disappears because now he found another source of his high. And guess what happens? He just left another murder victim behind. Because now you're crushed. You now have trauma because you gave your all. And guess what you have to do after this? You're going to have to figure out how to get over it so that you can move on. You're damaged. He don't care about that because all you were a drug. Sucks, doesn't it? Hurts like hell. I know a lot of you guys been through this. And you don't understand what happened. And they disappear. No remorse. Predatory behavior. So we're going to run through this next one, and then we're going to get into the what am I doing to attract this predator? And then we're going to get out of here because I'm not going to keep you too much longer. Now, the last one is also a dangerous one. The already attached predator. This is the person that's already in a long-term relationship or they're married and they out on the prowl because something at home ain't right. And they need to get their little dopamine high. But when they go out in the street, they move in a way that makes you feel like, oh my God, this person has a lot of confidence. Confidence sexy, right, y'all? Confidence real sexy. That person is moving real confident because they feel like, even if you don't like what I'm saying, I still got something at home. So what is there to lose? They move real messy. I'm going to do what I got to do to make me feel better. And I'm going to be real cocky and confident. And I'm going to go out here and do what I got to do to get my needs met. Whatever that is. It don't even have to be sex. And they're going to keep searching for that high until they realize that it's not feasible to do. Maybe they got caught. Maybe whatever it is. And until either one of these three type of predators realizes that this path does not lead to happiness, they're going to keep chasing the high just like a drug addict. They don't know when to stop. They may stop for a few minutes, maybe a few months, but that's still in there, right? It's like telling a serial killer to stop. It's in the DNA until some event happens to make them change. And sometimes that never happens. And so this is what I'm going to give you, like a couple of things so that you'll recognize some of the energy that you might give off and some of the actions that you do that you don't realize is a trigger for that person to know that you are the prey. You're the perfect prey, right? So here's one thing that I'm going to choose my words wisely. Some women do. When you, and this is under the assumption that you're the type of woman that likes to be pursued by a man. Because there's some women out here that don't want to be chased. They want to be the one that does all the work, right? I'm not talking about you. We're talking about women who want to be pursued by a man. So catch this. Pay attention. If you meet a man out, say you're at a bar, at church, doesn't matter. You exchange phone numbers. You feeling the vibe. And the man says, I'm going to call you. I'll call you. I'll give you a call soon. And you say, okay. And you go home as the woman. You say, oh my God, he was so handsome. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk to him on the phone. And then a day goes by. And 4 days go by. And 7 days go by. And you're looking at your watch as the woman. You're like, what the hell? He seemed like he was interested. Why he ain't called? And then this is what you do. Pay attention. I'm going to call him and make sure he all right. And you ring that phone up. Hey, I haven't heard from you. I just wanted to see if everything was cool. The vibe was cool. If he's a predator, you just did his job for him. Pay attention. He did not have to chase you. What you showed him was that you were available and you don't have anything else going on but to check for him. He just showed you his hand. Because if a man is really pressed and excited about you, he gonna call. You just gave him the entry point. Because now he has the option to continue to be absent, or he can play along with this little game. Because now you just showed that all you had going on was you was checking for somebody that wasn't checking for you. Gotcha. Another thing that you have to pay attention to, and this is why I will always talk about qualifying someone early. I'm going to say this again, early. You're going to qualify people to even be in your personal space, ladies. Because once you, and I know that we're in the era of, I don't give a damn, and I'm going to call him because I'm going to see what's going on, and I'm going to be the aggressor, and I get it. But the way that you figure out who he is you got to sit back and take your control back and ask those questions and qualify him. You don't want to show your trauma and your pain by your actions. Because if I don't call you for 3 weeks, I'm not interested. Or I got something else going on that you probably don't even need to know about. Either way, that's your signal to roll. But because you don't have anything else going on, and you might have been chilling in the house for the past 3 months, I'm going to go ahead and do his job for him. You just trained him a pattern of behavior that he now has control over. That's just one little thing that you don't even recognize that it's a trigger. Now, if you're the aggressive person, do you? I'm talking about the people that want to be chased. You can't be chased by someone if you're doing the job for them. Catch that. So now, another thing is, how you moving out here, right? You on social media and you posting all this crazy stuff. People can see that. They know where your frame of mind is. And they're using it as an entry point because you've given up too much. You're giving up too much of your pain. You're giving up too much of your woes. Oh, I went on this date and it was horrible. Oh my God. It's a trigger. Because you want to be transparent. But you've opened the door to predatory behavior just by putting in an honest post. If you're single and looking and you want to find Mr. Right, you just showed a predator the entry gate. You didn't even have a conversation with him yet. Right? Think about it. If you're looking for somebody to chase you and you're looking for somebody to court you and do all that, why you got a t-shirt on that say, side chicks matter? You know what I'm saying? Think about it. I need for you guys to really, really, really understand that a predator only thrives when you stop thinking. And even if you feel like you are doing everything you're supposed to do to stop the predatory behavior, guess what? I'm going to tell you the kryptonite for a predator and how you catch them off guard. You ready? You don't put up for anything less than what they, and I told you I was going to talk about this on almost every show, qualified themselves to be. Right? And this is what a lot of people do. I don't want to ask too much too soon because I don't want to scare them away with too many questions. You 45. You got some things to lose. Ask the questions. And when he hesitates and when he doesn't know an answer to it and he doesn't know how, ding, ding, ding. He's not a big boy yet. He don't know what he wants to do with himself. And then you want to be the savior. Stop trying to save him. Go be happy somewhere. It's not your job. That was the last show. Check the last show out. You don't have to be the savior. You don't have to be his therapist. It's your job to make sure that you achieve happiness in your life with or without. So When you control the narrative for your heart, and you don't have to be stank about it, and I ain't gonna put up with that, and all of that. You ain't gotta be all that. Simple heart, energy, positive energy. I need to maintain my positive energy, and I'm going to make sure that I qualify this person for my time, because I'm not a little kid anymore. A predator gets thrown off base when you're concise and you're clear about intent. I need to know your intention. If your intention is to chill, then you as the woman or the man or whoever, if your intention is to be in a situation where you are meeting someone with the goal of possibly having something more because the vibe is right and everything, then you got to be honest with yourself. Do you want to be with somebody that wants to chill for 2 years? Don't accept it. It's a trigger for a predator. When I tell you, I'm not looking for anything and I don't want anything, I just want to hang out and see what happens, it's a trigger. We're waiting, predator is waiting for you to say, okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with you not having to do any work to show me that you're interested. I just want you there. It's a trigger. It's a trick. It's a test to see if you will allow him to not even commit to dating you. And you say, okay, I'm going to be all right. I'm never going to be married anyway, so I'm just going to do blah, 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 blah. But if you're that person that says that out loud and you're going home and you're like, I wish I had somebody, you just tricked yourself. I need you to understand that. A predator is looking for the lowest hanging fruit. It's easy. And if that predator is willing to put the work in because they on some sadistic stuff and they really want to dig deep and hurt you real bad in the end, they can only do what you allow. And there's some that may squeak through, but a more informed you, a more tactful you, is going to be armed with the tools to make sure you see it early. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to wrap it up and put it in a pretty bow. And then we're going to pause for 2 seconds, and then we're going to talk about this on the backside. So I thank you all for tuning in to the Relationship Gumbo podcast, and I will see you on the next episode. Have a great day. All right, guys, podcast portion is over. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of info from that. I didn't dig as deep as I really wanted to because the time is getting away from me. I see somebody on Periscope saying, what are you talking about? I was talking about players and predators and what their mental state is and what drives them to do that behavior where they're consistently leaving a path of hurt hearts and hopes and dreams behind them, and it's okay, and they just keep doing it. Like, what drives a person like that? That's what I was really getting into, and letting people know, like, how to recognize it and different things that you can kind of do, or things that you do to attract a predator, because a predator is licking his chops at something that's appetizing to it. What are you doing to make them think that it's easy? It's okay. You can check the replay, and this is actually a podcast as well. It's called Relationship Gumbo. You can check it out on all podcasting platforms. I'm going to put a flyer up real quick because we're going to get out of here in a couple minutes, but I wanted to at least engage you guys. You can pretty much, that's the old one. I'm in about maybe 5 more though. I'm on iHeartRadio. I'm on Pandora. Literally anywhere where you listen to music and podcasts, I'm there. So just check it out. Look for Relationship Gumbo. And there's several episodes there. You can listen to it in your car on the Bluetooth and all that good stuff. But the purpose of me wanting to do this show is because people put, and we're going to do another show on the anatomy of a cheater. We're going to talk about things that are kind of off the beaten path because we tend to put these people in one box. He's a player, bad guy. He just wants to hurt me. But you don't realize that that player is probably doing it because somebody hurt him and he don't know how to handle it. So he's on a cycle of terror, trying to prove a point to himself that he's okay when he probably really needs to get help, right? And if you experience somebody that keeps, and I just literally talked to a guy today who was telling me about how he was able to replay the same person like 4 times in a row after he played them the first time, because that level of desperation was so high and they wanted someone so bad that they was willing to go back to the negative situation 3 more times. And he was just laughing. And I was like, dude, you got to stop. Like, what are you doing? Because now you've created trauma. And then what happens to a person that's dealing with trauma and they don't get help? They got to be a mom. They got to be somebody's wife one day. And it's just sitting. You did that. Nobody's perfect. But we have to realize what happens when we leave when we had the intention to never stay in the first place. Because it was cute to do. It was fun to say that you made that conquest. It's not cute when you make somebody fall in love with you and you bounce and you disappear. It's the most devastating thing ever. But because you have a part of you that gets high off of knowing that you conquered someone and you beat them down till they were at their lowest point, something to be said about that. That's why I equated it to a serial killer. You keep killing and you don't even realize that people are actually dying inside, right? That's an analogy for your arse. You're killing hopes and dreams because that's what you sold them. You figured out that they were depressed or they were hurt by somebody before you came along, and you pounced on it. And you knew that your intention was to eventually hurt them and you thought it was okay. Think about that. You thought it was cool to crush someone's soul. And guess what? It wasn't enough. You need to do it about 300 more times just to make sure you did it right. Ouch. That ain't fair. That's my new tagline. That ain't fair. Who wins? Who wins? Do you win? And like I said, open transparency. I'm only able to talk about this because at one point in my past, I did it a few times because I was hurt. So I wanted to hurt other people because I was hurt and I didn't care about their feelings because it was about me. It was selfish. I didn't care about them because I felt like nobody gave a damn about me. So I was going to make sure if somebody going to hurt, I might as well be the one to do it because it's not going to be you. You're not going to do it to me. And you crush people. And then at some point, hopefully you grow up and you realize that when you're on that path, at the end of that path, you're not happy. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep getting high. Got to keep smoking that crack. Because once you hurt that person, you go down into a low point where you in a drought and you need to do it again. And so you got to smoke some more crack. Who's out there? Who's desperate? Let me find them. Who has low self-esteem? Let me hurry up and get that dopamine real fast. Somebody on Periscope said, how'd I get hurt? When I was younger, the first 3 girlfriends that I had in a row, they all cheated. All of them. I was this little, yes, dear, yes, baby, whatever you want. I was the nice guy. It was all that. Cheat, cheat, cheat. By the time the 3rd one happened, I was like, what's wrong with me? Why do they hate being treated the way that they're asking to be treated? So I snapped. And I didn't care anymore. They took a part of me. And I wasn't going to allow anyone to make me feel like that ever again. So I hurt in turn. And it wasn't cute to do. And that's why I wanted to do this show, because some people don't understand the depth of why someone would even choose that path. It makes no sense. You know how many women I've talked to that's like, I don't understand why they would do that. I don't understand why they would choose to just, they done spent time, they done met my kids, and why the hell would they just leave and just, they had no intention to stay. It got too close. Someone that stays with you for a long time and then leaves on some player stuff, they needed that emotional energy from you because there was something lacking from them. But they never wanted to commit fully from the get-go. They wanted to suck the emotion and the heart and the love and the nurturing out of you so that they could feel full. Until you figure out that you've been duped. And then he's like, dang, she's getting too close. Gotta go. Somebody on Periscope, they're saying I was just weeding out the skunks. It wasn't a weeding out process. I was a serious predator. I looked for the lowest hanging fruit. It wasn't no weeding out process for me. I didn't give a damn. And that's some honesty for you right there. Did not care. But a lot of people think that when people move like that, it's because they were born and raised from an infant to be an asshole. That's not always true. It doesn't always happen that way. There are some assholes out there. But that doesn't mean that my origin story or someone else, somebody said, don't get played, be the player. But at the end of the day, how many people are you going to play before you realize that you want real happiness and not the fake play thing that you're doing and pretending and trying to pretend to love somebody or trying to pretend to, you sleeping with somebody for a long time and it's cool. But where does it end if you never grow from that? You got to go find another one and another one and another one. And the guys are dapping you up like, go ahead, player. Go ahead, show me that picture in your phone. It ain't cute. When you grow up and you're like, dang, I really want to be with somebody, but look at all this hurt. And you know what happens to men that do that? You have a daughter. That's your payback. And guess what I got? But it's all good though. At the end of the day, it's about learning to be better as humans. No matter what trials and tribulations you have in your life, you got to take a point to try to be better and to try to be good to people. Because who wants to walk around being a serial killer? Like, it's nothing cute about that. You killing people's love. So I'm going to go ahead and leave y'all with that. I know we went a little long tonight, but I wanted you guys to really understand it and feel it, because you can be someone who recognizes what you give off to attract them without being angry and guarded, and you got this brick wall up that can't nobody get through. You can still be a loving, caring person, but you gotta have a little bit of logical brain to say, I like this person, but I need to figure out what their intention is. And like I said, there's people out here that's trained liars. But you start out with a base of things that mean the most to you, and you get those answers, and their behavior has to track to that. Most players want you to ignore your own list, and it works. Because you want to be with somebody so bad. So you got to know what you're giving off. You want to be on attack mode, and I'm I'm gonna be the woman that's gonna run this, and I'm gonna chase him, and I'm gonna get his number, and I'm gonna be the one to call, and I'm gonna be the one to pick and do this. You're training a man to not have to do anything. If that's what you want. Some people like a man that don't do anything. That's cool. I'm not talking about you. I'm going to give you this one little nugget and then I'm going to get out of here because we almost at almost 5 minutes. It'll be an hour I've been on here. Let me give you one little nugget. Women. Men don't have the power you do up front. And when you give away your power, you can't expect to get what you want if you didn't qualify someone to be in your presence, to have your time, to touch your body. I know it sounds old-fashioned, but if you've been hurt the last 10 times you tried it, try something different. That person on Periscope says it stinks no matter how good looking they are. Somebody's sick of them. You know what? At the end of the day, we hear this all the time about people who are, these beautiful people, but somebody's sick of them. I mean, I don't want to really like go hardcore into that, but beautiful people are human too. They assholes too. They do things that piss you off and you get mad at them and you have arguments just like any other couple. And when you keep holding in all of that animosity of the arguments, that person starts to look a little ugly. And then it breaks up and people are like, what happened? Why? They were so beautiful. Y'all were so cute together. What happened? Human beings argue and disagree. It's about how you resolve it. Oh, we got some communication stuff coming up. Maybe next month, I'm going to do a boot camp just about communication and how we work together as a couple, or even someone who's, if you're single and you're trying to figure out, like, maybe I need to communicate better. I'm going to do something special for that. We're not going to talk about nothing else but communication tactics. I got you on that. So I'm going to get off of here. And I'm glad and I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Relationship Gumbo live show. Please check out the podcast anywhere that you are able to view or listen. Listen to a podcast. I am there. Just search for Relationship Gumbo. Also, the little website that's down below my name over here. Where is it? Over here, right here, wherever. It's backwards. Right there. Go to MrCardLogic.net, and that's where you can find everything. My Instagram, everywhere that I am, what I'm doing, all the shows. I have apparel like this. I got everything. Just check it out. So I will see you guys next week at 8 p.m. Make sure you check out the podcast. You're going to get 2 of them a week now. You're going to get one regular one, and you're going to get one bonus one from the live show. So make sure you go through them, catch up. It's a lot of good information, a lot of good tips, tools, tricks, all that good stuff. Next week, we're going to have something even more amazing. Matter of fact, when you link up with me on like Facebook or YouTube, you'll get an extra pop-up one maybe on Saturday that I'm going to show you a live recording of the regular podcast. So just stay tuned. If you're on here now, go back to the beginning of this. I do a visual representation of how our minds work. I call it card logic. It's a little method that I came up with. So this person on Periscope said my friends called me DJ. Back in elementary school, they did. But I'm going to get off of here. I thank you guys for joining in. Make sure you follow me, subscribe, all that good stuff. Just keep up. I got some good stuff coming. I want to make sure that I give you some things that are kind of off the beaten path, so your minds can think about things in a different perspective. Because it is my job to take all of the overthinking and the scrambled eggs that's in your head and rearrange them, and so you can get better focus and better decision making. That's my job. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And I will see you then.
Yeah, this one for the streets that taught me lessons. Hey, they taught me about the grief and people out here stressing. They taught me how the evils wanna keep you from progressing. It's people in your circle wanna keep you from your blessings. No talking to them people when them people come with questions. This mama say no ratting, for them death is destined. Be careful of the people